So I got this idea. Wouldn't it be great if you could hear the speaker before you bought the speaker? Wouldn't it be amazing if you could hear the amplifier before you bought the amp or the DAC or whatever it is? And even better than that, is wouldn't it be amazing if you could compare the speaker or the amp or the DAC or against other amps and DACs of similar price ranges, so you could figure out which was the best one for you? That would be really, really good. Maybe even better than that, you could compare, let's say, the $1,000 speaker against a $2,000 speaker or a $500 speaker, and see what's, let's say, the diminishing return for you. Not just have some reviewer online or on YouTube tell you what the diminishing return is. You could hear it for yourself. Wouldn't that be, wouldn't that be something? I think it would. And you know where that could happen, possibly? Well, I think that could happen in a store. Now, you got to hear me out. What I'm going to talk about today is something, it's a wish, it's a dream. You could even call it a dream. Steve has a dream. I have lots of dreams. But this dream is something that could become a reality. Like here and there, it could be a reality. Because this episode today is basically, let's just call it, well, a call for action. Basically, I'm looking for entrepreneurs in the United States, worldwide, who are going to step up and basically say, yes, I want to have an audio store. I want to sell to audiophiles, or just to people, to music lovers, audiophiles, whatever. I want to sell quality audio. It would be, and truly is, a noble profession. You know, I used to sell audio for 16 years, so I know from where I speak. But it is kind of a dying profession because stores are going out of business, and you know the reason why. Because they can't compete against the internet. Because too many of them, well, some of them are not good stores. You know, they're crappy stores, and you can say, oh, they deserve to go out of business, blah, 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 blah. I've heard all that. Yeah, I'm sure that that's true. But some of them are going out of business because the owner of the store, you know, is old, they want to retire, and they're just throwing in the towel, or whatever. There's all kinds of, their rent got too high, or something like that. There's reasons why stores eventually go out of business, and it's not just because they're crummy stores. Could be really good stores. Lyric Hi-Fi here in New York City, a legendary store, started in the 1950s, recently closed its doors, and I believe it was because of the rent. The rent was too darn high. But it didn't survive for 60 plus years by not providing great service to its customers, and that's the point. That's what makes for a great store, is the service it provides to its customers. And I gotta get to this early in this episode. It doesn't survive decade after decade by providing great discounts. Discounts are not the thing that makes us a great audio store. Great audio store is great, in my opinion, first by having great products, by being very selective in the lines they carry, by having very knowledgeable people on staff who can do great demos, do great setups in people's homes, handle service problems that inevitably arise with complicated systems, and then do hand-holding for the customers, because audio is complicated. And you know, they call the store and they say, John, I don't know, I'm hearing hum in the right channel, and they help them with those problems. That's how a store lasts for 60 plus years. It's because they know what they were doing. That's how they get to last. Discounts? No, that's not how they did it. You know, it's a very competitive market. Matter of fact, here in New York City, most of the stores that started in, let's say, the audiophile boom of the, I guess you would call it the late 70s, early 80s, most of them are still around. You know what? Most of them are still here. Very competitive market, very high rents, and they're still here. And you know what? I know most of the people that work in those stores, they're not here because they do discounts. They're here because they provide service. So, but in the rest of the country, which I know far less well, stores are closing. So this episode is a call for people here in the country, here in the US, but also worldwide, who are audiophiles, who know business, who are good business people, who have good people skills, and who know how to sell, because, sorry, you got to be able to sell this stuff to stay in business, to, if you're at that point in your life where you say, you know what, I'd like to open an audio store and help people put together nice systems, or people who already have systems, who are looking to buy a speaker or a DAC or a turntable or a tone arm or a cartridge or something. I'd like to do that. It's a very rewarding profession. I found it that way. I did it, as I said, for 16 years. So I know, again, from where I speak. What will it take? What will it take to make people take that leap of faith and raise capital to do it and find a suitable place, possibly in your home? I'm talking to you people out there who are maybe thinking about taking that chance and starting a store. You could do it in your home. Many people do. Actually, Andrew Singer, the guy that I work for, he started in his mother's apartment. I was there when it started. So some people start in their homes, and then if business keeps going, they get an actual storefront. So you could start in your home and take it from there. That's definitely a path. Well, okay, so you got the space, got that covered. Next, you got that figured out, and the next thing you do is you just figure out what sort of lines, what brands would you like to carry that would make sense for you and for the community that's around you, that would make sense. You had not necessarily the most expensive things, not the cheapest things. What would make sense for your neighbors? And just start dialing, call up those companies, whether they're in the US or wherever you are, just call them up or reach them and see what it would take to have them as the lines that you would carry. When the shows start coming back as they are this year, if that's something you would consider, get on a plane, go to those shows, meet with manufacturers and say, I'm considering opening a store and I'm interested in carrying your line, and see what is involved in taking on a line, because that is a part of it, because most companies would want an opening order of X dollars or euros or pounds and say, here's what it takes, signing contracts, blah, blah, blah. And, you'd hire a technician of some sort, or all the things that fall into place, having insurance, blah, 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 blah. But it's a big job. There's a lot to it. But as I said, the rewards are very significant in terms of really feeling like you're helping people. I'm taking a guess here that if you were in the market to buy, let's say, speakers, let's say $1,000 a pair of speakers, you've never had the chance to hear 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 pairs of speakers compared, one pair at a time, over the course of, let's say, an hour or 2. It's a very interesting exercise, and this can only really happen in a store. You learn so much when you do that, and you can never get that from reading reviews or watching YouTube video reviews, right? You get people's impressions. I mean, I do this for a living now, being a reviewer, right? You only get their impressions, and they can talk about comparisons in reviews. It's a far cry from hearing it for yourself. Now, sure, it's not like hearing those speakers in your home. I'm never going to say that that's true. It would be better to do that in your home, but that's not possible, really, right? But if you're hearing them, let's say in a room, in a store that has reasonably good acoustics, you're hearing the difference of those 2, 3, 4, 5 speakers. And that's what you're learning from. Now, how that translates to your listening room, it's not 100%, but you will get the gist of the difference between those speakers. If one of those speakers is way too bright, chances are it's going to be way too bright. And if one of those speakers is making too much bass, and if one of those speakers has a really gorgeous mid-range, it's probably the one with the best mid-range. So that's what you're going to learn when you do these comparisons that you're not going to really get from reviews. And that's why stores, good stores, with well-chosen lines by the owner or the staff of the store, are so important. And they deserve your support, meaning your patronage, meaning you buy stuff in the store. Not just shop the store and then say, oh yeah, I really like those, and then buy them online to save 20%. Then that store will eventually wither and die and you won't have a store anymore. So yes, if my fantasy in some ways comes true, and there is this new generation of stores that springs up, it's a long shot, of course, but if here and there it happens, I'm hoping that the community of audiophiles around that store appreciates it, supports it, and it grows, and more stores blossom. You know, that would be amazing. That really, really would. That would be such a great experience. So if you're a new dealer, if you've already taken the plunge and started a shop somewhere in the US or somewhere in the world, I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to put up my email address now. Let me know how it's going. I think you get the point. We need more dealers. We absolutely do. But the audiophile community needs to support the dealers where they can. Of course, if they're not good people, they don't deserve your support. I'm not suggesting that at all. But you got to meet people halfway. You really do. That's it. That's all I got. That's my wish. You know, I got mine. I get to hear this constant parade of gear that's really interesting, and I get to tell you all about it. I'm in a in that sense, very privileged position. And I'm doing my best to tell you and share with you what I hear. So I just wish that when I tell you about something that I'm excited about, that you could go someplace and hear it too. That would be, because in the olden days, before the internet screwed this all up, you could. People would read the Absolute Sound and Stereophile and all these other magazines, and most of the time they would go to stores and listen to those products that got those reviews. That's the way it was. That was commonplace. And now it's increasingly rare. That sucks. That really, really does. But anyway, I'm going to end on an up note. I have the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. Check this out. Carson is a 14-year-old music lover and mostly analog audiophile with a modest system. Dad's old CD player died recently, so yeah, it's mostly analog for now. The turntable is a vintage JVC JL-F45 fitted with an Audio-Technica AT95E cartridge, but we'll be upgrading soon to an Ortofon 2M bronze. The amp, that's kind of interesting, it's a 1984 Yamaha A1000. Speakers look familiar, they're Klipsch R-820F Reference. Carson gets carried away by the music with the sound of this system. You are off to a good start. Anyway, pretty nice, huh? My name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. If you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe. Hit that button. Yeah, it's down there somewhere. Hit the button. And if you really like what I'm doing, check out the Patreon. Check out the Patreon. That's where the hip people go. And the Patreon can be found at patreon.com/Audiophiliac. And I think that's it. I'm not going to go on about all that other stuff anymore. I'm going to leave all that stuff out. And other than to say, thank you so much for watching, and I really, really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.